Greetings, I'm Tom Laporte. Today's topic is one I've been considering related to events for over the past year or so. I want to talk about the use of Twitter to offer condolences. When I was in graduate school, I took an administration course with Bevel Jones. He was a retired United Methodist bishop from the North Georgia Conference. Bevel was clear that it was imperative to show gratitude in writing, even when you didn't do business or continue a professional relationship. He stressed the importance of writing a message to show your appreciation of the other party, if only for her or his time. I wonder what Bevel's position would be on sharing your thoughts after someone passed away. I feel certain that Bevel Jones would have insisted on sending a sympathy card at the very least, perhaps attending the funeral or the wake or memorial, sending flowers, or perhaps making a donation in that person's honor. Some of the items I just mentioned are the longest practiced human rituals on planet Earth, and they're not even necessarily attached to religion per se. In June of 2015, Virgil Runnels died. He spent the majority of his adult life working in the professional wrestling industry. I found it very interesting the wide array of people who commented on his death via Twitter. It was interesting the things people had to say, and particularly the number of times people had to add another tweet because they could not get it all in 140 characters. Which caused me to wonder, why use Twitter? Why not a different form of social media where you have opportunities to write more? Why not send a sympathy card? Why not do a blog or something like that? Shannon and I were discussing this. She brought up a very interesting point. She talked about the death of Joseph Biden, the vice president's son, from May of 2015. She had seen many of the Twitter comments. She felt like some of them were short and perhaps not really terribly meaningful, and she wondered why do that. She came up with a possibility that using this forum to share your condolences and show your respect has forced some people's hand. It's become expected. And not only is it expected, because it's out there in the open world of cyberspace, then everyone can see if you've responded or not. That was another interesting way to look at it. And following that, I was very mindful of looking at the hashtags following the death of David Bowie and Glenn Frey. It's an interesting thing, again, to consider for their friends and family who will have access to this. I'm sure to some degree that's very, very meaningful to them. But I wonder also, is it sort of troublesome to have all that information out there and sort of overwhelmingly available to the public? So, given I've been considering this for a long period of time, Twitter's become almost like an obituary page. When Antonin Scalia passed away, I went to Twitter to see who was responding. I assumed both Democrats, Republicans, as well as independents and others would be responding. What I hadn't counted on was all the anger and the sort of very unkind remarks and responses that people were putting out there. When Nancy Reagan died, I was wondering if that would happen again, so I immediately started following the hashtag. Most of the comments were quite kind, and they mentioned her long relationship with President Reagan. However, there were a few less than charitable comments. Moreover, Hillary had made a public on TV statement about Nancy Reagan, and it was the Twitter universe that then attacked Hillary and her comments related to AIDS. I would argue that 140 characters is very, very difficult to use to pay tribute to a human being's life. However, in some cases, sharing that on social media and with lots of people in a very quick manner is much better than some of the terrible, terrible sympathy cards that you find available for purchase. I wonder, in the time to come, will people still send sympathy cards? Or will all the respects and the tributes to people be paid on social media? As noted, I think Shannon raised that issue quite profoundly, that the expectation is already there. And probably, I would imagine, before long, that will be the mainstream ritual for recognizing the life and death of someone in this country and in others. I'm Tom Laporte. Thanks for spending some time with me in this Tomcast.